وعلى من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وارض اللهم عنا معهم أجمعين اللهم آمين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Jazakumullah khairan, brothers and sisters, for showing up. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for the efforts. I know it's very hard to travel, especially today. Jazakumullah khairan. Inshallah, as the topic has been announced, lessons from Luqman. Before we get started, inshallah, we wanted to mention a few facts about this beautiful surah. But before that, this is not going to be a tafsir class, okay? It's going to be just extracting some beautiful lessons from this amazing surah. So the first fact is that it has been revealed in Mecca. We know that the certain surahs from the Quran were revealed in Mecca, other surahs were revealed in Medina. This particular surah was revealed in Mecca, and as we know, most of the surahs that were revealed in Mecca were related to Tawheed, the core belief of the Muslims, how to recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His oneness, His sifat, His characteristics, and so on and so forth. So this is one of the essential surah that described or that talked a lot about Tawheed, the concept of the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It consists of 34 ayahs. And why am I mentioning this? Because inshallah, we're going to have a homework. As you know, I always give homework. And one of the homeworks will be inshallah to memorize this surah. And it's very short, very sweet. So inshallah, make it a goal that inshallah this week, from today until next week inshallah, or maybe in 10 days from now, we will together inshallah memorize this surah. I call this surah the child's education surah. Yani I believe that if every parents plan together and read together and study together this surah and go beyond that lesson by reading books of tafsir or listening to lectures of tafsir of that particular surah, I believe they will extract a lot of important educational lessons that can actually lead their children throughout their life, inshallah. Very important. The child's education surah. And we are told that Luqman is one of the wisest men who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted him that gift. And as a result, he advised his son in the best way possible. Okay, we're going to turn off the fan. Jazakumullahu khairan for giving me more heat. Alright. And last point here in this segment is that Luqman is not considered to be one of the prophets of God, because some people are mistakenly talking about him as if as a prophet from God. Most of the scholars mention that he is not one of the prophets. Rather, he was one of the people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon him wisdom, and also He bestowed upon him knowledge. Okay, what are these lessons that we wanted to discuss today, inshallah? 6 lessons. 6 lessons are mentioned and given by Luqman the wise to his son, according to the records of this beautiful surah. Number 1 is Tawheed. Tawheed, the most essential teaching in Islam, is the concept of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being one, the characteristics of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His names, His attributes, and so on and so forth. Tawheed. The second lesson taught by Luqman is honoring one's parents, respecting and being dutiful to one's parents. It's also mentioned in this beautiful ayah. And the amazing part of this surah is that it's not discussing only spiritual matters. It's not only discussing religious matters. It's also discussing worldly things. So the advice was not only given to worship Allah and to be dutiful to one's parents. No, there is also positivity is mentioned. Worship and being positive in the community. Being someone who care about others and trying to spread goodness and to prevent evil. Also, Luqman the wise drew his son's attention to what? To the reality of this world. What's going to happen in this world? This world, some people consider it to be Jannah. Yeah? They wanted to enjoy everything in it, thinking that this is Jannah. But life is difficult, life is uneasy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He had created man in a state of continuous toil and struggle. So don't consider that life is going to be Jannah. This life is a stage where you have to go through these trials so that you can attain, inshallah, Jannah. Also, Luqman the Wise taught his son beautiful lessons regarding manners and ethics. Manners and ethics, which many Muslims unfortunately are lacking today, because we have, as I said in one of my classes, we have been focused more on acts of worship, yet we have neglected other aspects of Islam which are also equally important. Also, Luqman the Wise have taught his son what? Planning your life. Don't just live without knowing where are you heading to. No, sit, plan and rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the homework, before we get started with each one and explain inshallah the details and mention the reference, the homework that inshallah we're going to learn this surah in depth on your own. When you go home, maybe download some of the lectures on tafsir of this surah, read it tonight inshallah, and you make the last action today before you sleep, reading that surah that you have learned, and work on memorizing it inshallah. Agreed? Agreed? Can you answer me so that I don't fall asleep, please? Alright, Tawheed, the first lesson taught in this surah. Actually, the whole surah revolves around the concept of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His and His monotheistic nature. And that is, my brothers and sisters, the first thing you should teach not only your children, but you should teach your parents if they are falling into some errors regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's characteristics. If they are doing certain things that actually could lead them to one of the major obstacle, one of the major sins in Islam, and that is shirk. Actually the greatest of all sin that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wouldn't forgive is shirk. If a person dies upon that state, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not forgive the sin of shirk, but He forgives to whom He wish any other sins than that. So Tawheed is very important. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in this surah on the tongue of Luqman, وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِابْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُ. And mention, O Muhammad, when Luqman the Wise said to his son by a way of instruction, by a way of advice. Actually, ya'idu, maw'idha is an advice, is a mild advice. What did he tell him? Ya bunayya la tushrik billah. Oh my son, do not ever associate partners with Allah. And we know, for those who have learned Tawheed and Shirk, because Tawheed is the belief that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is absolutely in control of everything. He's the creator, the nourisher, the sustainer of this universe. But the opposite is shirk, is to associate partners with Him, is to pray to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is to consider one of the mashayikh or one of the scholars or one of the people with long beards and so on and so forth as something, that can bring you closer to Allah, so that you pray to them and asking them to pray for you and so on and so forth. These things, shirk is not just to worship, because I believe none of us will go and worship other than Allah. But believing in good luck and bad luck, and I remember when I was young, on our door there was onion. And they used to hang onion on our house door, and a horseshoe. And we used to have them, regularly. And once I asked my mom, what is the onion for? She said the onion does not allow the devil to come inside the house. So you see, that was the belief. If my mom dies upon that state, a'udhu billah, it's shirk. Alhamdulillah, now there is no onion. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So you see, shirk is not only about worshipping literally something along with Allah. No, you could do certain other acts that can also nullify your faith. So it's very important to educate our children. The first thing you teach your children that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one and only. The first thing that you teach your neighbors, that you teach your Muslim brothers and sisters who are ignorant, who doesn't know much, this is the first thing that you start with. In fact, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he sent his companions to Yemen, actually in one narration, Mu'adh ibn Jabal, when he sent him to Yemen, he told him, you are going to invite the people of the book, the Jews and the Christians. So let the first thing you start with in that invitation is what? Is calling them back to Tawheed. Calling them back to worship and unify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as being absolutely one. So this is the beginning. So whenever you wanted to do da'wah, whether to your children, to your parents, to your neighbors, to your friends, start with the concept of Tawheed. And there are many books have been written on that subject. It's, you know, you can go and enrich your knowledge with that. But look at how Luqman dealt, or how Luqman talked to his son. Number one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِبْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ. That Luqman talked to his son by a way of an advice, by a way of an instruction. And that was way far away, long years ago. When we talk about the Prophet ﷺ, we say 1,400 years ago. Luqman came long way before that. Yet, Luqman did not shout, did not scold his son, did not abuse him in front of his, friends. He talked to him mildly with an advice. My brothers and sisters, I always insist on one thing, that the way how we were brought up by our parents, it's not going to work with our children anymore. The age is different, the time is different. Technology taught them something different. My son, 7 years old, can play in the setting and can tell me things that I have never been exposed to. My son, 7 years old. When I was at his age, my only dream in life is to have a wooden doll that can move. Now everything moves. So the point is, the way how our parents raised us up, it's not going to work with our children. We used to be scolded, we used to be beaten, we used to be slapped, right? I remember one day my father brought us kite to fly. And he said, do not take the kite to your grandma's house. Our grandma's house was in the second floor in the balcony. He said, fly it from your grandmother's house. Don't go on the rooftop. But it's not cool. It's balcony in the second floor. The roof of the other balcony will be preventing the kite. It's tight and so on. So I told my brother, go and tell my father we wanted to fly it on the rooftop. He said no. The answer was no. I said okay. So after 15 minutes, I begged my brother to go down again. Big dad, tell him we cannot fly it. So my brother lied to me. He went halfway and then he come back and he said, okay, go and fly the kite on the top. We didn't go on the top of our building. We went to another building because it was cooler. It was actually, there is no wall to the rooftop. It was like flat. And so we start flying the kite. And who saw us from the ground floor? My father. And I just heard my name in the most terrifying ways ever. Wael! And I recognized that's my dad. And I looked, from the from the rooftop down to our house, and I saw my father's waist is outside the window. Like half of his body is outside the window, telling me, come down, come down. I said, that's it, janazah time. Janazah time. So I went down and my father received me just, with beautiful slaps on my face, on my body. And he tied me in the bed. I will never forget that day. He tied me in the bed. For hours. And who saved me from him? My granddad. May Allah have mercy on him. But that's, if I dealt with my children today in the same way, it's not going to work. It's actually going to be worse. Today is the age of what? Conversation and reasoning and convincing. And we are told that Luqman used that methodology with his son thousands of years back. وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِابْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُ. When Luqman was talking to his son by a way of instruction and beautiful advice, maw'idah. The second part is that every phrase he mentioned what? Oh my son. Oh my son. Beautiful phrase. Ya bunayya. Anyone have children here? Anyone have children? Do you call your son, oh my son? Yeah, it's difficult, right? It's not common. I heard one, Brother Shazli is out. I heard actually Brother Shazli calling his son, my son. I heard him once. I caught him in the act. Train yourself. And if you are a daughter, call your mom, oh my mom. oh my mom. I don't know in Malay how it would be sound, but tell her, call her with that title. Respectful, like Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he used to call his dad, he used to tell him what? Ya abati, oh my father, oh my father. Very respectful term. And I believe in every language there is that term, which is very dear, endearment term between son and mom, sons and dads, and so on and so forth. And then Luqman gave his son a practical learning methodology to understand the concept of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now here, go practical with children. He told him, Ya bunay, oh my son, again. Indeed, if anything wrong should be the weight of a mustard seed and should be within a rock anywhere in the heavens or in the earth, Allah will bring it forth. Now we are drawing the attention of the people that whether you are actually in secret or in public, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is overwatching you. The least that you do, when you are alone in the night in front of your laptop, browsing websites, chatting with haram people, talking to girls or talking to brothers who are not related to you, watching images that are haram, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran, lower your gaze and guard your modesty. These things will lead you to that which is major, unacceptable action, haram, zina. Tomorrow, by the way, we have the workshop, I Protect Against Pornography Addiction. Those who wish to register, I think Brother Shazli and the sister at the back will help you out, inshallah. And this workshop for those who are embarrassed to register, because I know once you're coming to a pornography addiction workshop, everybody will be worried to be labeled as addict. Now let me tell you a story. We have actually in one country, we announced about pornography addiction workshop, and mashallah 500 people registered. But one of them came to me, and there was no need for him to open his mouth. He said, Assalamu alaikum brother, how are you? Alhamdulillah. Actually, I'm not coming because I'm addict, I'm just coming because of my friends. I say, you should have been just silent, man. You don't talk. You don't talk like that. You just come and sit and learn. This workshop, I have 5 parts actually, 5 workshops on that issue. Tomorrow is the introductory, is the awareness stage, raising awareness about the issue of pornography addiction and how destructive it is, and how your child can be destroyed his entire career because of his indulgence in this evil practice. So when you are acquainted, when you access the knowledge of this, then inshallah you can deal with it if you discover something of that sort. Husbands and wives who discover their spouses are into pornography, how to deal with it, what is the right way to deal with it. Because wives think that they are cheated, so they want a divorce and so on. What's wrong with me? Am I not satisfying you, and so on and so forth. It's nothing about that. It's addiction. It's a brain disease. It's a brain disease. He is being controlled by that desire and he can't get rid of it. And he doesn't want to watch, yet he finds himself again and again falling into the same circle. So tomorrow inshallah we'll be discussing the scientific methods, or how to solve the issue, and what is the Islamic also solution to that problem, inshallah. So here Luqman is telling his son, oh my son, the wrong that you do, even if it is as small as the mustard seed, whether it is hidden in a rock or in the heavens or in the earth, Allah will bring that on the day of judgment. You will be exposed. So be careful. You're being watched. My son loves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so much. My son Ibrahim. And may Allah bless him and bless all our children. One day he told me, I want to see Allah. And of course, according to my culture, if that happened in my time, Dad, I want to see Allah. How dare you? How can you see Allah? Yeah? And he would be beating me. Shh, you cannot see Allah. Full stop. That reaction could make me hate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Could make me hate Islam. So alhamdulillah, from day one I was working with my son, and he's Brother Abdullah knows him. Very kind, very quiet boy. And he loves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he wanted to see Allah. I told him, okay, tomorrow I'll tell you how to deal with that situation. The next morning, it hits me. I said, hey, wake up. You're going to see Allah. So we went to the beach. And I told him, look up now. Look up. You will see Allah. And he looked up and he saw the sun and he couldn't open his eyes and he kept on lowering the gaze. I cannot, it's very strong. I cannot look. You want to see Allah or not? Yes, look at the sun. So he kept on looking and he kept on closing his eyes and his eyes becomes, tired. He said, I cannot, the light is too big. I said, the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is much more stronger. He said, he understood. He realized that if I cannot look at the sun, which is part of the creation of Allah, how could I look at Allah, which His light is the heavens and the earth? Nurun ala nur, light upon light. My son, that little boy, went to the school and alhamdulillah he's praying in the school. Dhuhr time he pray. He have a little mat and he pray. And the Chinese, we live in China by the way. So the Chinese, they know, that to worship is to look at idols and there be some status and so on. So the kids ask him, to whom are you praying? Where is your God? Say, we cannot see Allah. How come? How come you pray to something you cannot see? You say, come, I'll show you Allah. Look at the sun. My son, he used the same example to explain to his classmates about, the light of Allah. We cannot see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So use these kind of, ways to explain to your children the unity and the characteristics of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That will be implanted in their hearts and their minds for life to come. When you die, my brothers and sisters, make sure that you will leave behind your children very grounded when it comes to the understanding of who Allah is. When they understand who Allah is, they worship Him truthfully. They worship Him without, nagging them, without waking them up for Fajr and they are crying, they want to sleep. They favor sleep over worship and so on and so forth. Look at the last will of Yaqub alayhi salam, Jacob alayhi salam. When death came to him, he told his children, what will you worship after me? Imagine, Yaqub alayhi salam, he knows that all his children upon the truth. He knows that all his kids already worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yet before he dies, he told them, what will you worship after me? So they responded, we will worship your God and the God of your fathers, Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ismail alayhi salam, and Ishaq, ilahan wahida, one God. Can you see the answer? Can you see the answer? How detailed the answers is? That means Yaqub alayhi salam, he did a good job. He explained to them really the concept of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to an extent that their answer is so detailed. He said, we will worship your God. Don't worry. The same God that you're worshipping, we will be worshipping. And not only that, the God of your fathers, Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ismail and Ishaq. And that God is ilahan wahida. He's one. One God. وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ. And to Him, to that God, we are submissive. We are Muslims. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Make sure, my brothers and sisters, tonight, inshallah, plan to write your last will. And if you want to consider this a second homework for you, write your last will to your parents, to your friends, to your neighbors, to your children to come. Do not die except or while you are on a state of Islam, monotheism, worshipping only one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Advise them never to deviate from the true path. Advise them, make sure that your children will be raised up, inshaAllah, praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, doing all the rituals only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not because they fear you, not because they are afraid of you. Because once you die, you are not around, khalas. If they were not brought up in the right way, they will not pray because you are not around. That's why you have to teach in that verse, قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي Lillahi Rabbil Alameen. Say, tell them, O Muhammad, indeed my prayers, my rituals, my rites, and my entire life, can you imagine, your entire life should be for Allah. And even your death, when you die upon Islam. This is powerful ayah in the Quran. Wallahi, very powerful ayah. To show us how important to live our lives according to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's lifestyle. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man aasha li shay'in mata alayh." Whosoever lived for something will die upon that thing. If you lived for Allah, you will die for Allah. But if you lived for worldly gains only, for collecting money, for only, I'm saying only, that means it's not haram to make money. It's okay to make money. We need to be rich so that you can donate to Brother Shazli. But what I'm trying to say, that should not be your end goal. Your end goal is what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what we wanted to reach. Yeah? قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. So the first thing you teach is what? Tawheed and its opposite, shirk. And you must teach him what is Tawheed in details and its opposite, shirk. What are the things that nullify Tawheed? This is very important. The second lesson we learned from Luqman is what? Honoring our parents, respecting our parents. And this is considered, according to the Quran, according to the teaching of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as what? The second major sin. Before drinking alcohol, before zina, before killing, before any of these major sins that you think of. Dishonoring your parents is the second major sin, or the second command given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after worshipping Him. Yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in one surah, in one ayah said, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed, has made it compulsory that you should not worship anyone but Him, and to your parents be good, be dutiful. The second command after worshipping Allah comes honoring your parents. Honoring your parents. According also, the opposite is dishonoring them. According to the scholars they say, or according also to the narrations that I will mention briefly, it is one of the major sins. It is actually the second of all major sins, and it is the biggest, one of the biggest of all major sins. So it is a major sin, it is a major sin by itself, but it's also the second on the list of all major sins. Not only that, but it is one of the biggest, one of the worst of all major sins. What is my proof here? The Prophet ﷺ defining major sins. He said, Al-Kaba'ir, Al-Ishraku Billah, wa uquq al-walidain. Kaba'ir are, or major sins are, to associate partners with Allah and to dishonor your parents. And according to this narration, also the second major sin apply. Al-Ishraku Billah wa uquq al-walidain. Associating partners with Allah and to dishonor your parents. The biggest of all, one of the biggest, one of the worst of all major sins, the Prophet ﷺ said in one of his narrations, أَلَا أَدُلُّكُمْ عَلَىٰ أَكْبَرِ الْكَبَائِرِ أَلَا أَدُلُّكُمْ عَلَىٰ أَكْبَرِ الْكَبَائِرِ. He started shouting to the companions all of a sudden, shall I inform you about the biggest of all major sins? 3 times. They asked him, what is it? O Messenger of Allah. He said, Al-Ishraku Billah wa uquq al-walidain. Again, Ishraq Billah, associating partners with Allah, and to dishonor your parents. According to Luqman, in this beautiful surah, it is mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that we have enjoined upon man care for his parents. His mother carried him. Now, the ayah is reminding you of your history. How did you come up to this world? Your mother carried him, increasing her in weakness upon weakness. And he's weaning in 2 years. So be grateful. Allah is saying here, be grateful to me and to your parents. He's always associating in commands to worship Him, to be grateful to Him, and to be dutiful, and to be grateful also to your parents. Even if they are nagging you, even then. Even if they are annoying, it's okay. We annoy everyone. Right? We give headache to everybody. But when our own parents give us some issues, we act in a different way. We act in a different way. We need to go back and we need to sit next to them if they are alive. Sit next to them, talk to them. Wallahi, wallahi, wallahi. Sometimes my brothers and sisters, they feel that they are already dead, even though they are alive. Why? Because we are always, while we are on the dining table, we are on our cell phones. and we eat so quickly and we run to our room. We don't want to sit with them. We don't want to hang out with them, talking to them. How are you, mom? How was your day today? We don't talk to them like that. We talk to our friends for hours over the phone, chatting, WhatsApp. But when it comes to our parents, wallahi, I'm telling you again, they feel that they are dead sometimes, even though they are still breathing. But once they die, what do you do? What do you feel? How I wish to go back even 1 minute, just 1 minute. And that's the same feeling I had when my father died. When my father died, I was in Hong Kong and I couldn't fly. My uncles told me, don't fly. Anyway, by the time you reach, he will be buried. The only thing that came into my mind, how I wish to go back in time and give him that tight hug that he wished for. Yeah? So the point is, don't wait. Do not wait until they are no more. They are no longer around so that you can regret and say, how I wish. You have a chance now. And for those who lost their parents already, don't worry. There's something called dua that we have been neglecting. The tool that Allah had given us, the weapon that Allah had given us that could change the qadr. The only thing that can change his destiny is dua. And He had given that power to you, yet we are not using it. So ask Allah, use that power, ask Allah, Ya Allah, grant her the highest Jannah, grant him the highest Jannah. And reunite us together, inshallah, on the Day of Judgment in Jannah. Yani those who lost their parents or any of them, pray for them continuously. Pay sadaqah on their behalf continuously. Pay them back something of what they have done to you when they were alive. But those whose parents are still alive today, seize the opportunity. Sit under the feet. Ask them to make dua for you. Their dua is most likely to be accepted. What an advice. Reminding us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminding us of our history. Your mom carried you. Your mom feed you. Your mom changed your diapers. How disgusting that is. For men, I'm talking about men. How many of the men here have tried to change diapers to a baby, a little baby? Sheikh, you're married. Did you? How enjoyable it is. Not pretty, eh? But look, your mom will bear that. Wallahi, it's something grieving. Sometimes I receive emails from brothers and sisters complaining about their mothers, and I keep on saying, Wallahi, if I had the opportunity to go back in time, I would just sit and serve my mom, because I have caused her a lot of pain in those old days. So don't ever give yourself a time to regret. But there is something here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, that if they have strived hard to make you worship other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا. Do not follow them. Do not obey them. When it comes to the rights of Allah, do not follow them. So there are also limits. Although Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put them the second after His worship, He put them the second to be honored. After associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He made the second major sin is dishonoring parents, yet there is a limitation. There is a limitation. There is no absolute obedience to any created being. The absolute obedience should go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. So if your parents told you, remove your hijab, no, that is the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now. Don't do salah too much. Don't put niqab. Well, niqab can be compromised a bit sometimes. But hijab, the minimum requirement for a sister is the niqab, salah. Don't worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, that's not your right. Wallahi, there are husbands sometimes who tell their wives to remove their hijab because they don't look pretty. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So when it comes to the rights of Allah, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said what? There is no obedience to any created being on the account of disobeying the Creator. When it comes to the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no one should be obeyed but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there are also limitations. The third part here is worship and positivity. How Luqman the wise advised his son to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala regularly and to be positive in the community. Beautiful. 4 things in the following ayah. He said, Ya bunay, aqim as-salah الصلاة وأمر بالمعروف وانهى عن المنكر واصبر على ما أصابك. Oh my son, establish the prayer. And I believe Sheikh Sharif Al-Arabi, during the conference, for those who have attended the conference, he talked about the difference between praying, performing the salah, and establishing the salah. How many have attended the conference? Only few. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. You guys, you are in Malaysia. These events, you should seize the opportunity. So the difference between performing the salah and establishing the salah is what? Establishing the salah is establishing a connection between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That you wait from the time of the Fajr to the time of Dhuhr. You are anxious. You wanted to pray. You wanted to meet Allah. That's establishing the salah. Performing is you make, the obligation is being lifted from you. But are you rewarded? Are you gaining, blessings? Is the prayer impacting you in real life? That's the question you have to ask yourself. So establish the salah and enjoy what is right. Not only do what is right, encourage others to do right. Wa'mur bil ma'ruf. Talk to people about that which is good. Today, if you wanted to implement this ayah, is very easy. Shall I tell you something to do? An extra homework? If you want to implement this ayah, you do Isha as never before. Do your last salah today, inshallah, as never before. Stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if this is your last salah. Beg Him, Ya Allah, change me. If you have some weakness in your heart, if you are struggling with some problems, addiction on the internet, lack of productivity, procrastination, any of these problems that's bothering so many people today, beg Allah today during Isha Salah, Ya Allah, change me, and I'm ready to go through that struggle. So this is number one, establish the Salah. Wa'mur bil ma'ruf. Go home tonight and tell the people in your home about the lesson. Give them an advice. Give them one tip. Order them to do something. And wanha anil munkar. And abstain from that which is evil. And encourage people to abstain from that which is evil. Tell the people, this is haram, this is halal. Don't be shy. Don't say that people will be offended. Sometimes we don't want to advise our friends. Because what? Because they will feel that I am extremist. Yeah? I don't want to mention the term that is very popular nowadays here. I'm extremist. When I'm telling the brother, pray. You're a Muslim. Or don't listen to music. Or don't watch these filthy movies. It will destroy your mind. You're extremist. So we are worried to hear a label from someone, but we are not worried about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command. We don't care about that. We don't care about how we will be standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the judgment day. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask us, what have you done for the deen? What is your contribution for the deen? Your sister was already misguided and you didn't even open your mouth to guide her. What have you done? Who are you compared to Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu arda? The first minute he embraced Islam, he became the most positive of all. Khalid ibn al-Walid, who fought against the Prophet ﷺ and he won the battle. And after he became a Muslim, he became the chief commander of the Muslim army throughout his region. Their hearts have changed upside down, 180 degrees, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bilal radiallahu anhu arda, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, all these names, study them. Asma bint Abi Bakr, Aisha radiallahu anhu arda. All these people have contributed a great deal. Because of them, we are Muslims today. What have you done? So be positive. Be positive. And don't worry about people labeling you with these kind of names. Don't worry. Don't worry about personal attack. The Prophet ﷺ, your beloved Prophet ﷺ, was abused, was accused, was beaten. He was about to die in Uhud. He didn't care about personal attack. He cared about what? Delivering the message. And that's your role. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. Wallahi, this, I'm imagining the Prophet ﷺ begging the Muslims, do something. Convey on my behalf even one single ayah that you know. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. How many of us doesn't know Qul Huwallahu Ahad? Convey that. We have neighbors here who are non-Muslims. Explain to them what is Qul Huwallahu Ahad. No problem. Don't be shy. That people will come and abuse you or accuse you or say that. And don't be shy. Just speak. Yeah? Child upbringing. Here are some tips also that you can add to your list, inshallah. Child upbringing is not about securing your children's financial position. It's not all about money. It's not about leaving behind tons of money for them. But it's about making them responsible to handle that money. This is more important, to make them responsible. There are many people who got spoiled because they grew up in an environment, everything is easy to access. And as a result, they lose it also because they were not taught to be responsible. Raise them up upon worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the first priority in life. And it's going to be your responsibility. You know what? It's going to be your responsibility, parents. Or even children who did not teach or who did not guide their parents who are on the wrong path. It will be your responsibility. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, نَحْنُ نَكْتُبُ مَا قَدَّمُوا وَآثَارَهُمْ وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ. We are writing down, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His angels are recording down what you have done and what you have left behind. Your influence, your children. If you have influenced them in the right direction, in the right way, Allah will reward you. And if you influence them in the wrong way, you will be responsible. You will stand and answer before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't teach them only to perform salah, rather teach them to love salah. And they will not love salah without loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So teach them how to love Allah, how to love Islam, how to love the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Buy them gifts and tell them this is from the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah purchased that for you. Allah brought this for you. Every time you bring a gift, and it is Allah, everything we belong to Allah. So buy something valuables and give it to them and tell them it's from Allah. But Allah required you now to pray. He will pray. Everything related to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His blessings. They will love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Teach them the stories of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, His sacrifice. Teach them the story of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These are the stories that we need to engrave in their brains and in their hearts, rather than giving them cartoons and movies that will spoil their brains. Wallahi. We were talking about Abu Hanifa today, me and Brother Shazli. When he was 8 or 10 years of age, he stood up in front of a Christian king, and the Christian king was trying to cast doubt in the hearts of the Muslims at that time. He told them, where is Allah? Was the question, where is Allah? Where is the direction of Allah? And what Allah is doing now? Something of that sort. But the point is not about the questions. The point about 10 years old boy answered these questions in front of the king. Yani the fact that he opened his mouth and spoke in front of a king, that is sufficient. Forget about what he said. And forget about what he said. In fact, he made the king move from his, torch on the top. He made him go down, and he stood in his place on that situation. 10 years old. So it's not by age. It's about wisdom. It's about learning. It's about education. It's about faith. So teach them these things. But you give them cartoon, Mickey Mouse, Mimi Mouse, and whatnot. Khalas, finished. Their mind will be there. Yeah? May Allah save us all. Teach them to be positive in life by helping others. Teach them to help others. Give them money and ask them to go and give charity. When you see someone in need, let your kids be part of it. Don't say they are still young. Teach them from that very young age. So when they grow up, they will remember these situations, they will imitate. Okay? The next lesson that we wanted to emphasize, inshallah, is teach your children the reality of this world. The reality of this world. So here are a few points, for example. Teach them not to be wasteful. There is a sickness going on in our society, which my sheikh told me, it's called ilf al-ma'siyah and ilf al-ni'mah. Ilf al-ma'siyah is not mentioned here, but ilf al-ni'mah is the danger of your comfort zone, your children's comfort zone. They always have whatever they ask for. The food is available, fancy food, a certain lifestyle, and so on and so forth. They must learn at certain point that there is no that which they have been used to. There is no today. Sorry, we don't have. Tomorrow, inshallah. Be patient. Teach them not to be wasteful. When you give them money, tell them this money is for 2 days, and let them see, let them, observe them and see how will they spend this money. Ilf al-ni'mah, the reluctance, the comfort that they have everything at hand. Be careful. Teach them not to be wasteful. Ilf al-ma'siyah is even more dangerous. Ilf al-ma'siyah is to get used to the sin. Getting used to see the sins. You are not performing sin anymore. Alhamdulillah, you're not performing the sin, but seeing people perform sins becomes normal for you. It doesn't disturb you anymore. Seeing people doing haram becomes the norm in the society, so it doesn't disturb you. This is danger. This is danger. And you're silent, you're not talking about it. And you're saying everybody's doing it, so what can I do? As if the majority wins. You know the rule of majority wins? Is this what Allah taught us in the Quran? Is this what the Prophet ﷺ taught us? Majority wins? In fact, وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. The majority doesn't know. Yeah, this is what Allah said in the Quran. The majority are ignorant. So we shouldn't follow the majority, we should follow the haqq. We should follow the truth in the Quran and in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. That's what we should follow. Even if the whole world is doing the wrong, wrong is wrong. Even if the majority is doing it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنْ عِبَادِيَ الشَّكُورِ. And among my servants, very few are grateful. Now you want to be with the majority? Would you like to be with the majority? Because the majority are ungrateful. So make sure every time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions something about the few are doing it, and this is, praiseworthy, be among the few. You make sure to be among the few. Yeah? Teach them to be dependent. Depend on themselves. Give them tasks and observe and instruct them. And mentor them. I have a program, inshallah, I wish and I pray and can come back, inshallah, and deliver it here. It is mentorship for teachers and for parents. How to mentor little ones. How to cross, to bridge the gaps between elder generations and younger generations. This is, we are missing this in our society. Teach them how to manage money, as we said earlier, and how to spend it for the sake of Allah. Excuse me. Teach them that stability of this world is impossible. By the way, those who wish to get a copy of the presentation, you can email me, inshallah. We'll mention the email at the end. You can get the whole PowerPoint. I can email it to you, inshallah. So the stability of this life is impossible. Life is going up and down. Things will change. So teach them to get ready for that. And that's why Allah said in this beautiful surah, وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا أَصَابَكَ إِنَّ ذَلِكَ مِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ. And be patient upon that which befall you. Be patient. Teach them to be patient. Sometimes we are living in a good time, sometimes is a difficult time. In both cases we accept and we are content with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Teach them the story of Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, who became blind at the end of his, before he dies, and they ask him, and Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas was known for, his supplications always being accepted. So they ask him, "Oh Sa'd, why don't you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to restore your sight?" He said, by Allah, the destiny of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon me is much more beloved than my eyesight. Teach them to be content and happy with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given them. The other point is manners. Manners and ethics. Something that we are missing in our society. As I said earlier, there are people who are very, very good worshippers in our community. True or false? Very good worshippers, but they're lacking manners. And there are people who are very, very well mannered, but they're not praying. They're lacking worship. What we wanted to achieve is that beautiful balance between acts of worship and beautiful manners. We wanted to achieve that beautiful balance. We are not perfect. We as human beings, we will keep on making mistakes, but doing our best, Allah will observe that. وَقُلْ اعْمَلُوا فَسَيَرَى اللَّهُ عَمَلَكُمْ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Say, tell them, O Muhammad, work hard, do your best. then Allah will observe that, and His messenger, and the believer. So you do your part. Strive. You will not reach the level of the prophets and the companions, but we are trying to reach near that state. Closer to ihsan, closer to taqwa, and so on and so forth. The Prophet ﷺ, amongst his earlier narrations, is إِنَّمَا بُعِثُّ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I have been sent to perfect manners. One of the earliest narrations, the earliest hadith, to indicate that manner goes hands in hands with acts of worship. Don't just pray without having the right manners. And don't be well-mannered without recognizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and worshipping Him properly. And that's why Luqman had advised his son in regards to this point. He said, وَلَا تُصَعِّرْ خَدَّكَ لِلنَّاسِ وَلَا تَمْشِي فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ كُلَّ مُخْتَالٍ فَخُورٍ. And do not turn your cheek in pride away from people. وَلَا تُصَعِّرْ. The word sa'ar actually is an infection that camels suffer from. Camels, they suffer from this infection. And what happens is sometimes when they turn their neck in a certain way, it gets stuck and it doesn't turn away. It is as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you that if you turn away your cheek in pride away from people, maybe Allah will seal on your heart at that moment and He will never give you a chance to repent. Be careful. Have you seen those people who are quarreling, and one of them started initiating reconciliation and goes to his sister or his brother saying, sorry, forgive me. And while he's talking or she's talking, the other person saying, don't talk to me. Have you seen that scene before? I don't want to talk to you. Yeah? Have you seen that? This is sa'ar. وَلَا تُصَعِّرْ. Don't turn your cheek in pride. وَلَيَادُ بِاللَّهِ. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لَا يَدْخُلِ الْجَنَّةِ. He will not enter Jannah. Very dangerous statement. Who is that person? مَنْ كَانَ فِي قَلْبِهِ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ مِنْ كِبْرٍ. Whosoever has got an atom weight of arrogance in his heart, there is no Jannah for him. What are the chances? An atom, my brothers and sisters, I don't know how small that is. I don't know how. It's a very dangerous statement. He will not enter Jannah, such a person who have arrogance in his heart. Manners. It's all about acts of worship and being good to people, being kind, being generous, being selfless, being good to your neighbor. It's all part of Islam. It's all part of that package called Islam. And then Luqman said, وَقْصِدْ فِي مَشْيِكَ وَغْضُضْ مِنْ صَوْتِكَ إِنَّ أَنْكَرَ الْأَصْوَاتِ لَصَوْتُ الْحَمِيرِ. And be moderate in your pace when you walk. Be moderate. When I walk with my wife in shopping malls, I spend an hour walking. 1 hour walking, brother. 1 hour walking within the shopping mall. Because the sisters have got this habit. When they go to the shopping mall, they stand in front of every item, whether it is on the list or not. But just give a list to a brother, and you see, in less than 10 minutes, he will finish the list, he will buy, and he is out of the mall. One day I was with my wife, may Allah bless her, and I hate shopping. Yeah? I don't like shopping. I even went with Brother Shazli to buy stuff, and I was like out so quickly. And he kept on begging me, buy this, buy it. No, yeah, let's go. Khalas, I got some. And I went with my wife and I told her, listen, I don't like shopping. I'll just wait for you in the car. And I stretched my back and I waited for her in the car. 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and I fell asleep. About 35 minutes or 40 minutes, then she came. I slept in the car waiting for my wife, just doing shopping with 4 or 5 items. So when you walk moderately. Don't just walk so deadly slowly or too fast that nobody can actually catch with you. And that is for the men who's walking next to their wife. Sometimes they're like trains. And the wife, she's carrying her bag and she's dragging her feet, wanted to catch up with her husband. Be moderate in your pace and lower your voice. When you talk to each other, lower your voice. Sometimes we shout because we wanted the opposite person to shut up. In Arabic we say اغلبوهم بالصوت, right? We said overcome them with your voice. win an argument with just shouting. And be nice, be more. Learn from the Prophet ﷺ how he used to discuss with his enemies. The people who opposed him. The people who came and told him, you worship our gods for 1 year, we will worship your God for 1 year. Imagine such a conversation, and the Prophet ﷺ was nodding his head all the time. He didn't interrupt a man inviting him for shirk. He was just listening. And after the man finished, he told him, Intahayta ya Abul Walid, did you finish, O Abul Walid? He said, yes. Can I talk now? Look at the art of conversation between the Prophet ﷺ and his enemies. Do we listen to each other today? I don't listen to you just because you came from a certain background. You're from this country? Oh, I know. Oh, okay, I know. No, I'm from Malaysia. I'm different. I eat tetaray. Waqsid fi mashik. Be moderate. Indeed, the most hateful, disagreeable of all sounds is the sound of a donkey. So when you shout at anyone, remember, Allah had made this, similarity between you and an animal, donkey. May Allah save us all. And last point is planning one's life. Teach your children to plan their lives. And the same ayah here, we will use the same ayah number 19 of Surah Luqman, because the word waqsid has got two meanings. Waqsid fi mashik, and be moderate in your pace. That's the translation found, but actually the Arabic word aqsid, it has got two meanings. Waqsid fi mashik means be moderate when you walk, neither too slow nor too fast. But the other meaning means what? Purpose. We have a field in Islam called maqasid al-sharia, the purpose of sharia. What is the purpose of sharia? What is the goals of sharia? So it is as if we wanted to read the ayah with that meaning, it would read as, and have a purpose in your journey in this life. Be a purposeful person. Don't just live to eat and drink and get education, that's it. No. What is your purpose in life? What do you want to achieve to benefit the community? What do you want to leave as a legacy before your demise? Have a purpose in your life. Plan it. Sit down and write it. I was talking to Brother Shazli. He's coming up with a beautiful course, guys. Whenever he, inshallah, announced that course, it's called what? The full pocket. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. The full pocket. And he was talking about dua and how important that tool is, and how important it is to write down the dua that you wanted Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to respond to, and to make it as if it is your goal in life to achieve. Beautiful. So inshallah, I hope and I pray that we will take this surah seriously from now on and apply these lessons in our lives, inshallah. Here is something convincing. 1 or 2 ayat in the Quran are very convincing. Not only to children, parents, neighbors, friends, but to those people who doesn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, this ayah, beautiful, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Say He created the heavens without pillars. Can't you see? Can't you see the heavens above us, the sky without pillars? And has cast into the earth firmly set mountains, lest it would shift or shake with you, and disperse therein from every creature. And we send down rain from the sky, and make grow therein plants of every noble kind. Here is, an explanation of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala works, and what did He create. And the next ayat say what? هَذَا خَلْقُ اللَّهِ. This is the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So show me what others have created beside Him. Show me any rival who can compete with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His creation. I met a man in one of the universities in the Philippines, and he came to me and he told me, he asked me something like that. He said, do you really believe in God? So he was an atheist. Do you really believe in God? I said, yes, I believe in Him. Can you prove that? I told him, if you have some time, yes, we can discuss. He said, okay, if you were to prove to me that God exists, if you ask anything from Allah, will He give it to you? Listen to that very well, because sometimes they come with a set of questions in their minds and they're waiting for a specific answer so that they hit you with the third one. They wanted to corner you. I told him, no, wait a minute. First you ask me if I believe that God exists or not. Do you believe that God exists? He said, no. Can you prove to me that He didn't exist? Can you prove to me? Because you're asking me to prove that God exists. I said, I believe, and I could sit with you and explain. But how about you? Can you prove the opposite? That He don't exist? He said, yes, I don't see Him. I don't feel Him. I don't touch Him. Okay, that is not a proof. This is not a proof. Do you see the air that you're breathing? Do you see it? Do you touch it? Do you smell it? Nothing. How can you prove that air exists? But I told him, now, the point is, I claim, this is my claim, that the heavens that you can see in front of you, the things that you can see and witness, and the sun, and the moon, and the stars, and me, all of these are the creation of Allah. Can you do something similar? No, let me make it easy for you. Can you create one single eyebrow now? If you did it, I follow you. I'll believe in what you believe. Then he left the conversation. فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ. The one who disbelieved became dumbstruck. Yeah, so reason, this is the creation of Allah, what have you done? Those people who come and say we don't believe that God doesn't exist, what have you done compared to the creation in the universe, which we claim that this is made by the Creator Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, the next segment I wanted to talk about the wisdom. The wisdom that Allah had mentioned. The first ayah of this beautiful surah, it says, Alif Lam Mim, Tilka ayatul kitabil hakim. Alif Lam Mim. These are the verses of the wise book. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us from the beginning that these words are wise words. Words that need reflections and thinking. So what is coming next is something valuable, very valuable. And then the first time Luqman is mentioned, guess what? What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about Luqman, the first time he's mentioned, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا لُقْمَانَ الْحِكْمَةِ. And we have given Luqman the wisdom. Allahu Akbar. So the words of the Quran are wise, and the man who is teaching his son is also wise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given him that wisdom. Now what is wisdom? Anyone can define wisdom to me? Sisters, brothers, wisdom. Inshallah, we're gonna give you something, yani coffee maybe or something. Okay, here is a nice piece I found it on the internet. They say knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit, but wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. Yeah, it's classified as fruit, but putting it in a fruit salad doesn't, spoil the taste of sweet fruits. So wisdom, actually, they say, وَضْعُ الشَّيْءِ فِي مَحَلِّهِ, or putting the things in the right place, or doing the things in the right time in the right place, right? You see, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it says, هُوَ الَّذِي بَعَثَ فِي الْأُمِّيِّينَ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمْ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has sent among His people a messenger from amongst themselves. Why? Reciting His verses upon them. وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, and purify them, and teaching them Al-Kitab, the Quran, and wisdom. Knowledge without wisdom could mislead people, could actually cause more damage. You have to be very wise in dealing with, in educating the people. You have to be very wise. Yeah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He talked about Isa alayhi salam, He mentioned something similar. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Isa alayhi salam, O Jesus, son of Mary, remember my favor upon you and upon your mother when I supported you with the pure spirit, or the Ruh al-Qudus, and you spoke to the people in the cradle and in maturity, and remember when I taught you the book and the wisdom. Again, I taught you the book, the Injil, or that scripture, and wisdom. So the wisdom very, very important. What is knowledge that we are talking about here? The knowledge that has been revealed in the Quran and through the teaching of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is the knowledge that we are talking about, that we need to give to our children. That is missing from our school. These deep knowledge are missing from many of our schools at young age. So sometimes you find people who memorize the entire Quran, but they don't understand a word. Or they know the Quran by heart, but they don't apply it. And we look at the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, they understood the value of the Quran. That's why they used to, one of the companions say, we will learn 10 ayat and we will never move further without implementing them in our daily lives. These 10 ayat. We finished them, khalas, we implemented them, we will move to the next. Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu used to say something similar. I will never move from one ayah to another unless I implemented the previous one. That's why he memorized Surah Al-Baqarah in 8 years. One narration said, another narration said 10 years. Who? Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu. Implementation is very important. What is wisdom? As we said, to say or to do the right thing in the right place at the right time. This is wisdom. To say or to do the right thing in the right place at the right time. Okay, let's go practical now. Some practical tips inshallah for you to take home. Alright? Bismillah. Take Luqman, and I wish and I pray that you will take this surah very seriously. And the wisdom narrated in those 6 lessons as an example for you to raise your children, or to impact people around you, your parents, your neighbors, your children, your family members, your classmates, or whatever. So take it seriously to implement it, inshallah. Enough reading the Quran, please, I beg you, enough reading the Quran only to gain the thawab or to gain the rewards of reading it. That's good. Do it regularly, no problem. But let's go a step further by implementing the meaning. Adopting the meaning and making it part of our daily lives. I want to tell you one story. My sheikh told me that his sheikh, he went to visit his sheikh, and they have an appointment. Look at this story, beautiful story. They have an appointment, and my sheikh knocked the door, and his sheikh told him from behind doors, "Irja, go back." So let's go back. We have an appointment, sheikh. Open the door. He say, "Irja." The 3rd time, open, sheikh, are you joking? You say, irja, go back. 3 times. And of course, my sheikh also knows the ethics. Once you knock 3 times, the hadith say what? Go back. Don't knock the whole night. Khalas, 3 times, nobody responded, or it was said to you, go back, go back. The next day they meet. So the sheikh told him, what happened? What was wrong with you yesterday? We had an appointment, you invited me home, and I came and you told me, go back. He said, just before you come, I was reading the Quran. And I passed by the ayah, and if it is said to you, when you visit someone, and if it is said to you, go back, then go back. Then I thought to implement this ayah with you. To that extent, he wanted to make that ayah live. To see it happening in real life. Very simple thing. Maybe we will consider it very silly, right? But there are some people living the Quran. The Quran for them is a relationship. It's not just a book that is, on the shelf to be visited from time to time in Ramadan, or when somebody died, let's read Quran or something like that. No. They wanted to live the Quran. They wanted to see its ayat implemented. Do that. Try to do that. Be like Muhammad al-Fatih. Muhammad al-Fatih, the one who conquered, Constantinople. And he never seen the Prophet ﷺ. He never seen the Prophet ﷺ. But there was one hadith the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. He say, Constantinople shall be conquered. فَلَنِعْمَ الْأَمِيرُ أَمِيرُهَا وَلَنِعْمَ الْجِيُوشُ جِيُوشُهَا. What a wonderful Amir, what a wonderful leader that leader would be. What a wonderful army that army would be. Muhammad al-Fatih heard that hadith from his father, and he said, I will be that Amir. I will be that leader. I will implement that narration. I will bring the words of the Prophet ﷺ to reality. And guess what? Years later, his battle is being told today. The way how he conquered Constantinople is to be taught in schools. Allahu Akbar. Just because you have faith that the Prophet ﷺ's words are true and it's going to happen anyway. So why not me to be that leader? So he worked hard, he prepared an army, and he conquered Constantinople. I'm not asking you to conquer any land. Cool down, yeah. But I'm asking you simple things. Go and read one ayah from the Quran and see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted you to do, and perform that act. Or one of the hadith, تَبَسُّمَكَ فِي وَجْهِ أَخِيكَ صَدَقَةً. A smile in the face of your brother or sister is sadaqah. You can do it now. Don't look at me, look at your sisters. Look at your brothers and smile. Smile, brother. Why are you angry, man? Yeah, smile at each other, get something that simple. Can we do that, please? Inshallah. Go home and try to draft your notes that you have already written. And this is something that will teach you, inshallah. The mobile will explode or something. Okay. This is something that can actually make the knowledge stick in your mind. Is to go home and rewrite what you have written already. So you have written it twice, then you will inshallah remember this lesson for life. Make the same notes but properly draft them in a nice way. Maybe different colors. Sisters will have millions of colors, So make notes so that you remember what we have discussed. Read that chapter inshallah tonight when you go home, while planning inshallah to implement these instructions inshallah in your real life. Jazakumullahu khairan. It was wonderful being with you. If we have time still for Q&A, we will open the floor. If not, then will they drink coffee or no? No coffee, sorry. We want you to sleep early. Yes, Sheikh. Q&A. On your phone already. On my phone already. MashaAllah, MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Okay. Ya Allah. Assalamu alaikum, Ustaz. After you got your hidayah, what are the steps you have taken to make it consistent and firm? Can you please share how you change your lifestyle and be like who you are now? Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I have spoken about this many times. What makes me, alhamdulillah, I ask Allah to be firm. I ask Allah to be steadfast. I'm begging Allah to be firm. I'm begging Allah to be consistent. When I tell you be on the straight path and istiqamah, doesn't mean that I'm firm and on istiqamah. Okay? I'm hoping that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make me firm and always upon the istiqamah. Ameen. But what makes the transition becomes easier was my wife. All praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and my wife who kept me, under control. I told her, she have that surveillance eyes, And sometimes we need someone next to us. Unfortunately, in our age and time, we should worry more about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being watching us than human beings, right? But sometimes being in the righteous company also helps a lot, in a great deal. So one of the things that can help you to remain consistent is righteous company. And alhamdulillah, I can never thank Allah enough for bringing into my life, after leaving music and bad company, for bringing into my life such wonderful people, wonderful teachers and mentors and sheikhs and friends who helped me to be the man I am today, alhamdulillah. So look for the righteous companies and stay away from those who are inviting you to that which is haram. Eliminate the haram from your life and you will become consistent and firm, inshallah. In respect to our parents, what happens if they are Muslims but still invites us to deeds that are against the will of Allah? As I said earlier, there is no obedience whatsoever to any created being, including your parents, on the account of disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if your parents are advising you or inviting you to do anything that goes against Allah's commands and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Quran is very clear, فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا, do not follow them. What will be the consequences? A slap on the face, okay? A kick. A father will kick you in your stomach or in your knees. Khalas, take it, alhamdulillah. Fi sabilillah, for Allah's sake. The companions faced much harder tests than all of us. Be polite. Do not shout at them. Do not act arrogantly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also in the Quran, وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا, always be kind to them. So long as they are alive, even if they are inviting you to that which is haram, be kind to them. Say, no, I'm sorry, Ma, I can't do that. Jazakillahu khairan, I'm praying for you and for myself, but I can't do it. Be polite, be nice. But don't follow them if they are inviting you to that which is haram. Yes, bro. Wa alaikum salam.
My question is, how do you actually balance your will, for example, to climb corporate ladders?
To climb what?
To be successful in your career, which is kind of
worldly matters. Okay.
And at the same time, to keep your foot on the ground, for our mission project.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Actually, also, even if you wanted to be successful in any field, that is required in Islam. That is important in Islam. To be successful doctor, to be successful teacher, to be successful lawyer. It's important that we have, Muslims who are successful in many, to be successful businessman. Why not? My wife is doing business, trade business, export, import. But that does not prevent her from praying on time. Does not prevent her from wearing hijab. Does not prevent her from saying sorry to a man who wanted to shake her hand. Does not prevent her from performing Hajj when she was able. Does not prevent her from fasting. Does not prevent her from acts of worship that are required. You understand, akhi? Plus, you always have an intention that your business should have a portion for Allah's sake. وَالَّذِينَ فِي أَمْوَالِهِمْ حَظٌّ مَعْلُومٌ حَقٌّ مَعْلُومٌ لِلسَّائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ. Those people, among the characteristics of a good Muslim, are those who are in their wealth, there is a portion always given to those who ask for it and those who are needy. They give. So even if you wanted to be successful businessman or successful doctor or successful anything, so long as you have that intention, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless your business. Now, how to make that balance, akhi? It's a time management issue. It's a time management issue. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for example, said that the early hours are blessed for my ummah. The early hours. If you wanted to be productive, work after Fajr. Start from Fajr until early morning before going to work. Wallahi, 4 hours. You will see 4 hours that you can do things that no one in the world will do if they are sleeping. They will not be able to achieve that. Read a book. Supplicate to Allah. Do exercise like me or like Brother Shazli. Do something. You have from 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. until 9, 3 or 4 hours. You have chunk hours. You can do a lot. And the Prophet ﷺ said that this time is made blessed. Barakah is in that early hours. Don't lose that. Don't waste that. And then go work. And when you are in your work, don't go on Facebook. Don't go on YouTube. Don't go on Twitter. And you want to make your money halal, abstain from these things. Because that is haram. The boss did not hire you so that you can use your Facebook and update your Facebook cover. Or make a tweet here or there. The boss didn't hire you for that. But you're using his computer, you're using his time, you're using his electricity for your own benefit. Is that halal? And you don't need a scholar to tell you halal or haram. So long as you're always conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, balance your time between spiritual, needs for the soul and also your needs for putting food on the table and work and become successful. We know the story of Hanzala, one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, who was seated with the Prophet, listening and gathering, and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, and they were listening to the Prophet ﷺ teaching. And after they finished the Halaqa, they finished the class, Hanzala went home and he didn't feel the same. So he said what? Nafaqa Hanzala. Hanzala is a hypocrite. And he went to complain to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu warda. He said, oh Abu Bakr, when I'm with the Prophet ﷺ, I visualize Jannah. I could see Jannah. The feeling is different. But when I'm with my family, we don't talk the same thing. I feel my faith is different. So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu warda said what? Me too. Let's go to the Prophet to complain. Let's see what's going on. So the Prophet ﷺ smiled and he taught Hanzala and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Ya Hanzala, sa'atan wa 1 hour for your spiritual needs and 1 hour for your life, for your wife, for your play here and there in a halal way. For by Allah, if all the time you will be thinking about Jannah and hell and you know as if you are all the time in that mode, Allah will send an angels will send angels from the sky to shake your hands. If that's the case. But this is not the case. We are human beings. We need sometimes to fulfill other desires, other needs. But do not ever compromise when it comes to the most important instructions and obligatories given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't compromise that. Yes, akhi? So long as no compromisation, you can do other stuff. Yes, sister. Yes, please. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
What is your advice on how to make the person one intends to marry understand that they should stay away from each other until they actually get married?
Tell him what you just told me now.
But what if he doesn't understand?
Khalas, you just don't respond. Simple. I'm a very simple man. You said that there is a man who proposed to get married, but no marriage yet because you need to wait for certain things and so on. So there should be no communication in private whatsoever between that person and you until you get married. That's the halal way. Now he wanted to talk to you, he must talk to you in the presence of someone else amongst your family or amongst his family or one close friend of yours who must be there in the conversation, sitting, listening, you know. What are you saying, huh? Why? To ensure that shaitan would not come and do something haram. That's it. That's the only purpose. To secure the relationship, to maintain its halal way. How to convince him? There is no, you don't need to convince such a person, sister. You just tell him, this is what is halal. If you wanted that, it's okay. If you would insist on that, then I don't think that we will remain, future husband and wife. You have to respect you for that. You have to value you for that. Yeah? Just be straight. One more question. Any question from the floor first? Anyone wanted to ask anything? Yes. 25 ringgit, please.
When Allah tests you, it means that He loves you, right? But what if you feel like everything is easy? Like
everything is smooth for you. There's no problems. Be happy. Be happy, sister. Actually, there is a story that I don't know if it is authentic or not, but I heard it somewhere in a lecture where a companion was always feeling okay. Everything is smooth and easy and good. So another companion advised him by telling him, no, you have to see the Prophet. There must be something wrong. So on the way to the Prophet, he fell down and he broke his knee. So the companion told him, don't go to the Prophet now. Allah had remembered you. So yes, it's a bit of concern. You should pray now, make dua to Allah. That if you are blessing me with an easy, smooth life, if you're not angry at me, I don't care. But if you are punishing me, or if there's something along the way waiting for me that is harmful, prevent it from happening. Yani, increase your connection. If you worry that your life is so easy, mashallah, everything is good and so on, if that worries you, increase your dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially at night, sister. Ask Allah, if that life that you're giving me is a blessing, alhamdulillah, I thank you, I'm grateful. But if something else is awaiting me that is harmful, please prevent it from happening. And He's the giver of everything. He's Al-Wahhab. And if He noticed and He witnessed your sincerity, He will give it to you. May Allah bless you, sister. May Allah bless you, inshallah. Don't worry, inshallah, nothing is going to happen. And if everything is easy, money coming easy also, sister? Because we wanted to donate to Muslims. May Allah bless you, sister. May Allah bless you. Okay, here's a question. The surah says, be mild with the kids. These days, kids are quite rough and in disagreement with the parents in their behavior and conversation. How do you manage the situation? There is a difference between being aggressive on your children and being firm with them. You can be firm in giving commands, showing them that you are not happy, that you are angry, that you are not satisfied. But aggressiveness of the nature that's stretching your hand and beating them, the Prophet ﷺ prohibited that. There is one narration says the Prophet ﷺ never hit a child or a woman with his hand. He never. Now be like the Prophet ﷺ. And to be honest with you, brothers, I believe that there is no such a thing as a bad kid, rough kid, tough kid. There is no such thing. There is a lack of a good parent. There is a lack of a good educator. That's why that boy became rough, became tough, became naughty, and so on and so forth. Because you did not bring him up from day one in the right way. So now, if you wanted to change that behavior, if you wanted to change that attitude, there is a huge, steps that can be taken. You have to change your approach a little bit. You have to talk to him one-to-one. You have to apologize sometimes when you as a parent make mistake. Let them respect you for that. Yeah? But you have to change the approach. If you have tried already shouting, slapping, and doesn't work, change your approach by way of conversation. Any other questions, inshallah? MashaAllah. Brothers are like beautiful silence for this. Enjoying the view, MashaAllah. Any questions? If no other questions, then we'll end the session, inshallah. And those who would like to register for the I Protect workshop, please meet the sister at the back and the brother for registration. I Protect will be a workshop, a whole day workshop where we will spend, inshallah, a couple of hours together. And in the break, each break of this workshop, I will be having one-on-one question and answer. I will not have question and answer in public until the end of the workshop. So the last part of the workshop, we will have an open Q&A. But every break, we will have 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Anyone wanted to approach me one-on-one, sisters or brothers, we will entertain their request. And these questions could be private issues because my expertise is life coaching. So I deal with life problems, like husband and wife beating each other, something like that. Issues related to addictions, life problems in general. So we'll have that inshallah tomorrow. And also on Sunday, inshallah, brother, is confirmed, coaching sessions. On Sunday, we will have also coaching sessions. The whole day will be coaching sessions, one-on-one, 30 minutes each participant. So if you want to register your name, you can inshallah write your name inshallah at the back for coaching session on Sunday. We will start from what time, Akhi? 10 a.m. The first session will start at 10 a.m. So whoever register will get a slot of time, and please be on time. And come prepared with your question, with your concern, with your problem. And inshallah, I will give you also my contact details at the end of the session so that we can continue to, inshallah, discuss maybe by email or WhatsApp and so on. Yeah? Any other questions, sister?
Let's say, right, we were like really naughty when we were young.
Yeah.
So our parents will always say that, wait till you get your own kids. Those kind of things. So will we get that kind of kids again, or is how we bring up them? Not necessarily.
I haven't seen anything in the text that says that because your parents were naughty, you will be naughty, or your mother is naughty, you will have a kid who's naughty. And there is no something grounded. But there is something else that my shuyukh taught me. It says عقوق الوالدين, dishonoring parents. If you yourself was a disobedient daughter to your parents, or disobedient son to your parents, most likely if they die upon that state, angry at you, unsatisfied from your behavior, most likely Allah will give you children who will show you the same behavior. And that's why uquq, the word uquq, there is another word that stems from it called what? Aqiqah. You know aqiqah? Why do we do aqiqah? Some scholars will think and say aqiqah comes from the same root of uquq. So that when you slaughter a goat, when you have a child, it is as if you are trying to, protect yourself from uquq. You are protecting yourself from them disobeying you in the future. That's one of the scholars who will reflect over what is the purpose of aqiqah and slaughtering a goat or two when you have children. It says to protect you from them disobeying you in the future when you are old. Yeah, but it's not like a must. Once you are naughty, your children would also be naughty. It's not the case. There was a question over there. Something I saw a hand before. Okay, brothers, any questions? You don't have questions? All of you are scholars, mashallah. Alhamdulillah. Alright, Jazakumullahu khairan. If no questions, then we'll end the session here. And I will be still here for a few minutes for those who wish to approach and ask any question off camera, off the stage. Jazakumullahu khairan. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wal 'asri innal insana fi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.